Hi, my name is Tara Hart, and this is my mind map for Lecture 2. The central image that I chose for this lecture was the progression of literature in the 20th and 21st centuries and the war that was going on between the many different theories and researchers. I started with the 1900s and the 1930s, and during this time, it was a period of significant research on reading. Horns made 5 rules for spelling. Parker explained that expression in oral reading helps the thought process. Judd and Gray believed that silent reading was more effective than oral reading. And Thorndike published the Teacher's World book and believed that reading was thinking, and little did we know that this would have great influence on the future of reading. We then move to the 1930s and the 1960s. During this time, basals were the norm. Rosenblatt decided to challenge the new criticism and proposed a theory that the reader brings meaning to the text, and this helped develop the early reader theory. Also during this time, in the 1940s, the Dick and Jane readers were used, and these were very popular, and they were used with round-robin oral reading and the look and say method. Teachers then questioned how can teaching of reading be improved, and research such of that from Rudolf Flesch decided to return to the old-fashioned phonetic drill method. And Rudolf Flesch made a book called Why Johnny Can't Read, and believed that writing and reading should be taught together. We then move to the 1960s through the 1990s. During this time, many instructional strategies were developed, such as the SQ3R, which is survey, question, read, recite, and review, and also the directed reading activity, which helps support before, during, and after reading. With this, elementary writing increased thanks to the instructional strategies that were being developed. Kenneth Goodman proposed the whole language theory, which consisted of authentic literature and cooperative experiences. Jean Shao debated about the best approach to reading. She developed the reading principles for effective reading instruction, and this included phonics instruction and comprehension using meaningful texts. She also believed that this should be done in small groups. Kenneth Goodman taught us about miscues and cueing systems to help aid in comprehension of children. In the 80s, schools began to fail in the United States, and there were many reports of this. During this time, the reading wars continued between phonics and whole language. Meanwhile, Patricia Cunningham urged for the balanced approach, which was a combination of both phonics and whole language. During the 1990s to today, during this time, the reading wars ended, and the balanced approach that Patricia Cunningham suggested had prevailed. The National Reading Panel was developed, and 14 people formed to teach us about phonetic awareness and many other aspects of reading. Also, many other establishments were created during this time period, such as the No Child Left Behind Act, which Congress enacted to help disadvantaged students, the Literacy Research Association, which is originally called the National Reading Conference, which was a community of scholars dedicated to literacy and improving the understanding of literacy. Also, the Common Core standards, which are still used today, and they're developed to create an increasing complexity of what students should be able to do to prepare for college, as well as the Reading Excellence Program to teach every child to read by the end of 3rd grade. And together, these reading wars have taught us everything that we know and use today about literacy.